I've been a big proponent of telehealth physio, especially in rural and remote communities. And I find there's some certain barriers around that because of the perceptions around what physio is. It's very much been a very hands-on dominated sort of field. And there is that transition away from that approach to more, these lifestyle factors and coaching, but also having a good understanding of the pathoanatomical stuff as well, not just chucking that out, but there's so much we can do when it comes to education and when it comes to lifestyle interventions and habit change and coaching and guiding. But unfortunately, the barrier is that patients don't see how that could be effective. And often GPs also don't see how that could be effective because they don't see a physio in that light. And I love the work that Peter O'Sullivan's been doing with cognitive functional therapy. I think it is, I guess, the most dominant way that I practice is to sort of, pick apart and understand how they understand their pain, what are the factors that are contributing to it, taking away some of those fears that may be unfounded or unnecessary, and then slowly and gradually exposing people to movements that they need for day-to-day life. And you can do all that by telehealth. So I see a massive role there. Ollie, why should someone choose online physiotherapy or telehealth physiotherapy?
Because you don't have to get up from the couch at home.
Great answer.
It's pretty good. For the people I see, it's great because they're like that, right? They've got really, really heavy, nasty fatigue, and sometimes you just get hit with a flare day where leaving the house expends your energy, body budget, your spoons that you really need to save and use for other things like cooking yourself food or helping your family members or whatever's more meaningful to you. And so I think what it does is it improves access where people might not be able to get access to healthcare. So whether that's, just being able to leave home and drive, getting transport, or whether it's just where you are in the world. I've had the privilege now of chatting to people, on cattle stations in Western New South Wales and Queensland that get to chat to a physio that knows their particular problem as opposed to, the very good physio that's 2 hours away in the town that knows a little bit of everything. So I think for me, it's about that access and equity. And it's just all you need is internet. And I think where you and I really agree on, I think where it's coming forward is what physio is, or at least what we do that matters, is the sense making, the education, understanding the problem, because we get the privilege of having the time with people that doctors and other people don't always, for lots of reasons, finances, just time in the day, people to sit down and explain stuff to people in a way that makes sense for them, that empowers them. And then we also get to offer movement options and calming down options that I've discussed today that are, I think, where the rubber hits the road. They're the most impactful treatments. And if it comes down to giving what really works as opposed to what people want, that's where it's really helpful. You can still go and see a massage therapist in town, as a lot of my clients do, but they can jump on and chat to me from the comfort of their own home, chat to you, and get really specialized advice that suits their context.
Yeah, I went and saw a physio just recently, and I said to him, and this was in person, and I said, I don't want hands-on therapy. Like, I just want to let you know, you don't have to do that. And,
you can
take
the hands off.
Yeah, and literally because I honored his skill set and his expertise, and I felt like, as a physio that sort of knows on the inside what's going on, I felt like our time was better spent if he wasn't distracted by that. And totally to a lot of people, that is just like mind-boggling. Yeah, or blasphemy, depending on depending on who you are. But totally. I think a lot of people, they think telehealth physio or online physio, and they're like, how does that work? How can I'm not talking uninformed people, by the way. Like, I'm talking GPs,
the telehealth option is great because so many people that I see are so, because they're so complex and there's so much trauma and pain involved, the actual act of getting to the physio or the therapist and coming home, like that's a flare up situation
Mm,
in itself. And
yeah,
for us to try to minimize any risk of flare-ups means like they're in the comfort of their home and they can
yeah,
just log on online. And
yeah,
I've also seen plenty of people, even that's a flare-up situation to them, being logging on to
yeah,
a telehealth conference online because of a background of PTSD, of, significant trauma. So I think for me personally, over the years, I've realized that in the realm of chronic pain, persistent pain, and in terms of my experience and my skill set in that space, I'm much better offering telehealth to people than in-person care because that utilizes more of my skill set without the kind of explicit pressure of having to kind of do manual therapy, like I've
yeah,
said in the
exactly.
past. Yeah, so that's why I feel that way.
Yeah, I think similar in terms of my skill set. I think it's quite simple. For me, I just like to give the power back to the person in pain, and I
Mm,
find that easier to do when there's distance. Because people come in and like you say, they expect you to put your hands on them and to fix them, and you and I both have the philosophy that we don't we don't fix people with our hands. We're better off coaching and guiding people, and they're the ones that their bodies are the ones that heal to the best of their ability
yeah.
and recover to the best of their ability, and we need to create an environment for them so that that can happen.
Mm,
I think we
mm,
have a similar philosophy there, and I just think that sometimes with in-person sessions, there's all of us, every person has a sort of bent towards short-term outcomes, and this in this instance, it's short-term relief from hands-on treatment,
mm.
and sometimes it's just the allure of that is too easy to choose over things that empower and give self management and lead to longer term outcomes. And that's
Yeah,
my sort of
yeah.
reasoning. And it's funny because I probably I'm quite uh, confident in saying I'm pretty much a hands-off therapist. But it's funny because I actually do use hands-on treatment, and I do see a place for it. I just think that in some instances it makes people reliant on me and other clinicians,
Mm,
and doesn't give them the skills and the
yeah.
tools to help themselves outside of the clinic room.